So the ANC's application against the uMkhonto weSizwe party has been dismissed. The ANC was going after the MKP over the use of the name, so trademark issue around the name uMkhonto weSizwe, as well as the logo. So if you look at the symbols, really, one is facing upwards. I think that's the one for the uMkhonto weSizwe, the Liberation Movement's armed wing, and then one is facing downwards. That's the uMkhonto weSizwe party. Well, that matter was dismissed, the court finding that one, there is no confusion. It says, secondly, it didn't find the matter to be urgent, and the court also felt that there was no jurisdiction, that the ANC shouldn't have gone to the court, but rather have gone via the electoral court. To me, that makes it a 3-for-3 win for MK party. So think about it. It is this particular matter. It's the bid to get the MK party deregistered. It's also the issue around former President Jacob Zuma, leader of the MK party. Nothing is clear to everybody, founder of the MK party, and his candidature. I want to speak about that last one in just a bit, but for now, what you are facing are 3 victories, which are psychological wins, right, for the MK party. I'll come back to this point. Let's go back to the candidature bit. I think now there is a matter still pending before the Constitutional Court by the IEC. That matter before the Constitutional Court remains relevant in my eyes, even if it was not about former President Jacob Zuma, whether he can run or not, or become a member of parliament or not. The ambiguity that seems to be there would be something that does need some sort of clarity. I think the IEC is correct to go and challenge it so the Constitutional Court can look at the sanction that he had, right, where he had so many months of imprisonment for being in contempt of the court, where he also didn't serve all of it. Also, there's the issue of remission. So I do think that for clarity's sake in the future, even if, again, it wasn't Zuma, that is a matter that is well worth resolving. And in that particular matter, actually, the ANC is not involved, which will lead me to my next point. ANC has already pronounced itself on all of this. The ANC saying that it is going to appeal this particular matter. The ANC making an argument that this is about legacy. Think about comments made earlier this month by Trevor Manuel, former ANC member, former finance minister, who says that these are hallowed symbols. These are hallowed symbols of the ANC that are being used by somebody who's abusive. That's how he describes former President Jacob Zuma, as an abusive individual who's using these symbols that are sacred to the ANC against the ANC. While I understand why the ANC would want to take this further, right, appeal this and have it be heard by another court, I still think that the battles in the courts are done. The main battle actually has to be at the polls. The main battle has to be to win support of citizens, of South Africans. And that's actually where the ANC should be focusing. I don't know if it's well worth it for the party to continue going against the MKP. The MKP is a party, by and large, that doesn't have a lot of structures. If you speak to them, they still speak about interim structures. They pin so much on one individual, that's former President Jacob Zuma. So my take, these 3-for-3 wins are an important psychological win for the MKP. This, including its performance in some of the by-elections, it's shook up a lot of parties, not just the ANC, has been interesting. In fact, I think you also need to be mindful of the fact that the MK party, it's not that they're campaigning in crowds on the streets. Yes, they can rally a crowd, but their campaign is actually run a lot through the media. It's when we talk about them that they capture the imagination of citizens. So these wins are psychological. These wins, these victories are important. The interviews and the talks are quite crucial to the relevance of the uMkhonto weSizwe party. So the ANC wants to appeal this. My opinion, it's not worth it. The real battle is actually at the ballots. The real battle that the ANC should be focusing on is holding on to the support it has or trying to increase its margins. That's actually what it should be focusing on. When COPE and EFF were launched, the ANC focused on itself. Part of the criticism that we make or we have as a country against the opposition is we focus too much on the ANC. The ANC's elections campaign has been peppered with MKP everywhere, and I don't know if that will do well for the governing party. It's a de-campaign strategy, if you may. Even the leaked ANC audio recordings aren't as damaging as the ANC's fumbling messaging around the uMkhonto weSizwe party. I think that is something that they need to look at. Again, I understand the right for you to appeal, but is that what you ought to be doing at the moment? when we are just over 30 days away from the 7th general elections, I think the ANC should be focusing more on those elections. Everybody has told the party this is the most difficult elections yet. Should that not be your focus? Should you not do what former President Jacob Zuma did when a COPE and when a EFF were launched? Focused on the ANC. Look at where you have fumbled and how do you explain your way through that to the electorate. Look at your successes and highlight those things. So I think it's quite interesting. But I also think that you need to look at it in a bigger perspective beyond these two parties, right? Former President Jacob Zuma is an interesting individual to watch. Always been strategic. I don't think that will ever go away. I think that the talks about creating a bloc, this is now looking beyond elections. The talk about a bloc, I think you must never dismiss. We've been hearing different leaders, if you think about it, Andile Mcitama, Julius Malema, you've got the PAC pledging some sort of support towards the MK party, and you hear murmurs and talks about a bloc of sorts. You hear Gates and McKenzie, again, speaking about a leftist bloc, a patriotic front bloc. I think that those are not rumors for nothing. In the days leading up to the MKP's launch last year, I'd already known about meetings he was having with the EFF. I'd seen the pictures in the weeks leading up to that. And part of those conversations were, how do we come together after the election? So I think you need to look at what he manages to do. Some will make an argument that former President Jacob Zuma wants to be seen as the ultimate liberation hero. Others will make an argument that they feel he's not done enough damage and wants to continue to do damage to the country. I leave that thought, though, to you. You're watching him, you're listening to him. Is he believable? Is he not? You are the electorate. Part of your responsibility is to arm yourself with knowledge and to make decisions that serve the country best, or at least the country you want to live in. So I leave that to you and the X that you'll make when you go to vote on the 29th of May.